Welcome back to Sibos TV, everybody. We're now going to talk all about T2S, and as you well know, we have a very fragmented securities settlement infrastructure in Europe, and T2S is a way to try to integrate and harmonize that. And let's meet our panel of guests, because we're going to talk all about what are the benefits for that and what still remain as some of the key challenges. So let me introduce our guest. Alan Cameron is the head of Global Strategic UK Brokers, Dealers and Banks Relationship Management at BNP Paribas. Nadine Shakar is the EVP of Global Collateral Services of the Bank of New York Mellon. Jean-Michel Godefroy is the chairman of the T2S board at the ECB, and Virginie O'Shea is an analyst at, is it H Group? IT Group, sorry, IT Group. So let's start with you, Virginie, if we can. Set the scene of T2S, right? What is it actually trying to do, and what are going to be the benefits and the challenges?
Sure. Well, obviously, I think Jean-Michel's probably the best person to answer that, but I can go.
Tell us your take first, and then you can come back on what you say.
I'll give a stab at it. But the ECB's obviously got the Target2 platform for cash, and I think in 2006 they announced that the plan was to move that and have a pan-European settlement system for securities. Obviously, it's a very fragmented environment, and the initial focus was on the Eurozone, but it's since expanded to other currencies. And the idea is to bring down the cross-border costs of settlement across Europe, essentially because they're very high for cross-border comparative to domestic settlement charges. And obviously there's been sort of a lot of debate about how much they're going to go down, whether they'll go down immediately or not, and I think that's what we're going to be discussing later today during our panel.
How much are they going to go down, these costs?
I think they are going to go down dramatically, especially for the cross-border payments. But even the domestic are probably going to go down more than people expected before, because there is a lot of competition between the CSDs. And in the end, we are going to produce a settlement as 15 cents. And a big question at the beginning was, how much will the CSD add to these 15 cents? And sometimes you heard 3-4 years ago, that will be a big amount which would have to be added. And in reality, we see today that some CSDs already said they will not add anything to the 15 cents that we are going to charge. They will probably have to get some revenue elsewhere, I would agree with this, but at least what is important is that 15 cents is the lowest you can get today in Europe for domestic, and it will be available in T2S also for cross-border. But the cost element is only one part of the benefits of T2S. But I stop here, otherwise nobody will come to the session.
But let's ask a couple of the banks. What's your take on what they're trying to do?
Well, we see some very clear benefits in it. I think there are benefits coming from what T2S will do for you. It's going to be an advanced settlement system. It will give us auto-collateralization and a whole lot of quite cool settlement functionality. But the real benefits will come when you consider what you can do for T2S. It's a question of whether you can use T2S to bring a higher degree of process simplification into your own business. If you can do that, that's where the real cost benefits will be.
I mean, to echo Alan's comments, I mean, those are all exciting features. But again, the removal of the fragmentation, the harmonization, and the ability of removing frictional costs from the system will be of critical importance to investors trying to invest in Europe. So we're big advocates of T2S and looking forward to its implementation.
Is there going to be any impact, positive, in fact, impact outside Europe?
I think so, because I think we're going to see, I think it's going to open up the doors to external investors, if you will. It's going to make it easier for them to invest. It's going to make it cheaper for them to invest, and hopefully it should increase the inflow of investments into Europe. There's another benefit of that we're all concerned about, which is the free up of collateral, if you will, or not the free up, but the pooling and the increased velocity and fluidity of collateral, which is of critical importance. So it's a lot of good things coming out of that.
I mean, today we only have auto-collateralization in about a third of the European markets. With T2S, we'll get it everywhere, and that will make the whole settlement system in Europe much more robust, particularly if we ever go through another time of crisis.
Okay. What have been and continue to be, Jean-Michel, some of the operational challenges for you, and what are still the pain points? Because this is set to go in, what, 2015? So what are the things that you're still trying to tinker with?
Well, yesterday my boss, Mr. Mersch, at the Sibos said that T2S will open on time, so in principle I should not add anything to that. I would simply say the challenge is that we have the system developed, the system is there, but we have to test it. And of course you never know when testing what you will discover. So far so good, that's why we are positive. Now, like any big system, we have to test. We still have almost 2 years to test the system, but this is the remaining challenge, technically, I would say.
How are you going to go about testing it? Just tell everybody how you plan to do that.
Today, the system has been developed by 4 national central banks of the Euro system, and they have built part of the system. Now they are putting the parts together, and they have started already to test end-to-end. After that, they will deliver the software to the ECB, and the ECB will do user acceptance tests. And we will do that test starting 1st of April 2014. Then we will pass the software for user testing to the users, and that will be at the autumn of 14, with a little anticipation for those who are in wave 1 of the migration. And then we will migrate, the first wave of of migration will take place on in June 2015. There will be 4 waves, and the 4th wave will be in February 2017. So there's still a long way to go.
What is your view on this whole testing? Are you guys positive that it's going to work, and how are your organizations planning to take all of this on board?
Well, yes, we are positive it's going to work. We've been working on T2S for a number of years now, and we have different work groups going ahead with it. The ones which are clearest are the stuff that we're actually doing with John Michel's team and getting the system put in. The bit that's a little bit unclear yet is how all the market participants will react to it. We don't yet know what the pricing will be at the different CSDs. And if there's something that stops people really moving ahead and changing their business models right now, it's that there's no real clarity about what the different pricing structures will be. So that's really the most important outstanding point right now.
I mean, I agree with that. Failure is not an option at this stage. So we're highly confident that the meticulous planning the ECB and the member banks have put into it will result in a phenomenal system. So we're looking forward to that. I agree with Alan. We have been fairly inwardly focused right now on our own organizations, how we connect. And I think there's a component of that now that as we get closer and have a little bit more certainty, that we'll need to start working with the participants and the end client, if you will, to just make sure that we're there. But they put in a schedule that's fairly rigorous around testing, a very disciplined approach, and we're confident that it's going to work.
It'll be interesting where T+2 fits into this, so and when in the schedule you see that happening.
Yeah, T+2.
T+2. I think, first of all, I want to say clearly that T+2 is not needed for T2S, because T2S settles when the transactions are presented to the system and they are matched. So T+2 is needed for the market to work better in T2S. There is a big effort which is made by market participants, and we support their efforts to come to harmonization of a number of features of settlement, security settlement in Europe. And we have progressed a lot. We need, it's a little bit European, but we need the CSD regulation, which is under preparation, and we want this regulation to be delivered by the end of this year. And we are asking at any occasion the governments to deliver on this issue, because the market is expecting to make a reshaping of their procedures only once, not just for T2S, but also for all these things which are in preparation.
I think T+2 is a particular concern with a lot. I've done a number of research projects around it, and I think there are certain sort of demographics within our community in Europe that are going to struggle a bit with moving to a shorter settlement.
Tell us a little bit more about
so
that.
I'd say a lot of sort of smaller buy-side firms are fairly heavily facts-based, paper-based. They're wedded to those processes already, and a lot of brokers and investment banks and custodians are having to pick up the pieces and deal with these guys. So if you're heavily reliant on very slow processes, then it's going to be quite tough to shorten the settlement cycle by 1 day, because you are reliant on that certain level of time to be able to get away with sending faxes back and forth and taking a long time to reconcile and confirm trades.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The reason why I'm less pessimistic is that this is one item where I think if the authorities do not deliver in the CSD regulation, then we will deliver as a market practice, because there is no reason a priori that it is in a regulation. It can also be a market practice. And it is relatively easy, and there is already a big consensus. So that's why I'm a little bit more optimistic on this point, because on that topic, if the CSD regulation is not there, then I am confident that we, with the help of the market participant, will pick up and we will make this standard apply before 2015. What is more difficult is that there are other issues on corporate events and so on, where it will be more difficult to conclude if there is still something pending on the agenda of the ministers.
Mm-hmm.
Could I just say, I think the market is generally looking forward to T+2. We think it's a good thing in many ways, and we think it can be done. The problem is really going to be finding a slot to do it, because we've got the dividend period, we've got SWIFT releases in November. December's not going to be a good time to do it. It's going to need some quite careful scheduling to fit this in.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And your view?
I mean, I think the market, again, we're looking forward to the harmonization of the settlement. And I agree, we'll need to find a slot, but it's been done before, we'll be able to do it again. And to the point that some market provider, a small segment of the market may struggle with that. I think there's plenty of solutions out there where I'm sure both of our combined organizations will be more than happy to step in and help. So I think it will be a welcome development to move us forward in that direction.
Okay, well, we've got to leave it there. Unfortunately, I hear all the catering happening, so it's lunchtime. At least we know that it's time for that. So thanks so much for joining us on Sibos TV. It's a pleasure to see all of you.